York's classic rock, Q1043.
You know, we picked that song because we thought you would appreciate it very much this morning.
You made the connection. How nice. That's
Jesse.
really funny.
Jesse Eisenberg. That was, of course, in The Squid and the Whale, that song. And we also have with us Jeremy Workman, who's a director. Hello. Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
And we have Matt Green, who has just an amazing story to tell.
Thank you.
And, of course, Jesse is an Academy Award nominee.
For the Social Network.
Yeah, didn't win. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? But you won. You're a nominee
Yeah,
for
that's true,
all the
that's
rest
true.
of your life.
Second place.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Oh, thanks a lot.
That's very cool. And Shelli pointed out to me this morning that you're a Jersey guy.
Yeah, and a huge fan of Q1043. I mean, I listened to Q1043 from ages like 16 to whenever I stopped driving. Moved into New York City and then,
That's so awesome.
Oh, yeah. So, it's a really honor to be here.
What high school did you go to?
Well, I went to a high school in Central Jersey, and then I transferred to a performing arts high school in Midtown Manhattan. But I had this like little radio instead of a CD player. I just listened. Q1043 was the only station I ever listened to.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Jeremy, you are a documentarian, among other things, and you heard about this really strange thing that Matt Green was doing.
Pretty strange.
Where he was walking all 8,000 miles of the roads and alleys and
cemeteries
parks
and bridges and
beaches and
just
everything.
Every
All the stuff.
Inch
All
of
the stuff.
New York City.
Yeah,
And-
if, like, you took New York City and you took all the streets out and you added it up, it would be 9,000 miles. And Matt has been walking them all for the past 6 or 7 years.
That's crazy. I mean, that's really crazy. Can I tell you, your documentary, which is opening at the Quad on 13th Street, the documentary is The World Before Your Feet.
Opens today.
Opens today. You are the only movie opening this weekend that gets 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Only.
Wow.
Really?
Creed 2 didn't get it.
Man.
Wow. I
good
wonder
company.
Ralph breaking the internet didn't get it.
The Favorite with Emma Stone, who you starred with in
yeah.
Zombieland, that doesn't get 100%.
100%.
I think there'll be
100%.
some inverse
You
relationship
get
between
100%.
reviews and
I'm
box
telling you,
office.
this movie is a love letter to New York City. That's how I saw it.
Well, Matt started walking on December 31st, 2011.
Yep.
And he's
It's a long time ago.
He's walked more than 8,000 miles, and you're, 95% finished?
Yeah, 95%.
Well, how
done
did you
now.
keep track of everything so that you know
Very-
exactly what you have left?
Very meticulously. I have a notepad where I write down every single turn I make. I go home, I draw out the route on the computer, I combine with all the others, and I have this big giant progress map on my website with a red line running down every street I've walked.
And the website, so you have this blog on the website. So if we go to your website, and I want you to give out the address, you learn so much about the city because you have lived every inch of it. So how do we
The
get
website's
access?
imjustwalking.com. You can go learn fascinating tidbits about fire hydrants, trees, rats, all sorts of things that you don't normally pay attention to.
Okay, well,
in
you
New
were
York.
doing this. You were just walking and blogging. You know, the idea of a motion picture, that came later, and that came from...
Yeah, I filmed Matt for 3 years, and I walked, hundreds of miles myself in every single neighborhood in New York City, of which there's just dozens and dozens, and it just sort of you forget how big New York City is and how diverse it is, and we all think of Times Square and Manhattan, but it's so broad and goes so deep, and Matt goes to them all, and as he walks, he notices all these sort of interesting things and takes notice of them, and then does research on them,
and talks to people.
Yeah.
I mean, you just shut down, and if you meet somebody, and you'll have a meal with them or just have a conversation. I mean, this doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Right.
in our
he's like a
city.
human greeting card,
And- Yeah.
and he just is let loose in all of New York City.
And, Matt, there's a lot of different islands, too.
There are a lot of islands
Not just
in New York
not
City.
just
yeah.
Manhattan, not just Staten Island, not just Roosevelt Island, and not just Queens and Brooklyn on Long Island. There's a lot of other islands.
There's a lot of other islands, and some of them have more people living on them.
City Island's beautiful.
City
isn't it?
Island, yeah.
Matt,
Ruler's Bar Hassock in Jamaica Bay, where Broad Channel is.
I have to ask you, why? Why did you do this?
I don't know why.
What do you mean you don't know why?
I don't know why. I mean, I feel like, we all have things we want to do, and we kind of feel this compulsion to come up with an explanation that will satisfy other people. But I think if you look inside you, you're not always sure why you want to do something if you're really honest about it. And I don't know why I want to do this.
Well, Matt, you've walked by this building.
I have.
And you've walked by my apartment building.
Where's your apartment building? Just kidding.
It's on 3rd Avenue on the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
He has.
Yeah. Yeah, you've walked almost everywhere. You've walked in front of every
Unless you're in the last 5%, I've walked by
Right.
by your house.
Or-
And I've looked in your window, probably.
every business, everywhere. You've been everywhere.
It's crazy.
There may not be any other living person who's been everywhere in New York City.
I can't imagine there is. I mean,
Right.
it's so there's so many miles and so many streets.
Now, Jesse, you're a movie star. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah, how?
Jeremy was editing while he was still shooting. Jeremy filmed 500 hours of footage. The movie is 90 minutes. He filmed 500 hours of Matt walking. So while he was editing, he contacted me to have a kind of second pair of eyes to kind of give some creative input. And I've been asked to do stuff like that in the past and never been interested. But I kind of, I intended to just watch 5 minutes of the movie and, just thank him for writing to me and
Yeah,
wish
but
him luck.
instead you ended up executive producer of the project.
Yeah, exactly. I ended up watching it twice that same day. I showed it to my parents who, they're in their 60s, but they thought it was like made for them. Matt is my age. We look alike. We sound alike. We have similar interests. But I showed it to my parents who are in their 60s. They said, my God, this is a guy from our generation, somebody who kind of wanders without a specific goal, somebody who's not always on their telephone, somebody who's interested in meeting other people, in real life. And so I realized the movie has this like amazing transcendent familiarity to people. And I realized there was something really special.
Well, Jesse, you can star in the narrative version of this story.
I know. I thought about that
You
while
know?
I don't have the stamina, but I have the same. Matt reminded me of myself when I watched this movie. I was like, that's what I would do if I had any drive.
Well, the movie is called. We haven't told everybody the title.
I did.
You did. Okay, it's
did,
The
yeah.
World Before Your Feet, which I mean, you could just subtitle it Matt's Walk. I mean, it's just absolutely. Did your friends think you were crazy?
I think all the friends who were still sticking around at that point were ones who were okay with that level of crazy. So
Now, what you don't know about Matt is that he's homeless.
What do you mean
by
he's
choice.
homeless?
Go on, explain.
I was just gonna say,
he's
and he
homeless
lives
by
off
choice.
$15 a day.
Yeah.
yeah, so well, in starting this project, I realized that I wasn't going to be bringing in a lot of income, and so I had to find a way to cut costs way back. And the best way to do that in New York is to not pay rent. So I gave up my apartment, and I'll couch surf with friends. I'll watch people's cats. I'll house sit, just string together places to stay where I'm not paying rent.
Okay, well, that's a voluntary situation.
And he
That's-
gave up his job as an engineer to do this. I mean, it's not like
What kind of
he
an
was
engineer?
aimless.
I was a civil engineer. I designed roads.
civil engineer.
See?
Ironic.
Pretty fitting, huh?
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg, you've got to do this story.
Civil
a
en-
narrative.
civil
You
en-
got to.
Civil engineers can get jobs like that.
Yes.
And
They're in
also,
demand.
Matt's not doing this for any,
No.
capitalistic purpose. He doesn't want to write a book. He doesn't want to be a tour guide. He's just doing it to discover the world.
But if Jesse makes this movie, you could be a gazillionaire.
Oh man, I'm gonna be rolling in the dough.
Have a cameo,
Jesse
man.
Eisenberg, this could be your Oscar.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. My revenge Oscar. So
Is there such a thing as a revenge Oscar?
I'm sure everything's revenge now.
Yeah, there's a revenge everything.
We're living in divisive times.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing that.
No, I never heard that before.
Yeah.
What, I'm
Revenge
going to watch
Oscar.
somebody step up to the podium one day while I'm watching TV and say, "Here it is. It's my revenge Oscar."
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Matt's Walk is so the movie covers the movie does not cover the entire walk. Of course, he actually has 5% left of New York City, and it's not what you'd expect. So you can go on Matt's website and see all the streets that he's walked, and I think you'll be surprised to realize that he has streets in Midtown Manhattan that he hasn't finished yet, and yet every impossible to get to canal, off the coast of
Broad Channel, yeah.
Right, Broad Channel has been accounted for, but 50th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue has yet to be completed. And so it's this incredible thing that, he's not walking, and the movie shows this, he's not just going to Times Square. You actually see places in New York City that you would never otherwise go to.
It doesn't look like New York City. A lot of places where Matt goes, you see deer, you see wild turkeys, you see this wide, expansive places in Staten Island,
Salt marshes, giant hills.
Well, this sounds really exciting. And
Wait a minute, did you go to the nude beach?
Yes. There are a couple nude beach spots.
Wait, I thought there was only one. What are the
But
couple?
it depends. It depends on where you are at what time. There's probably other places where people go nude, but I was there in cold weather or something. Because I'm not always at a beach.
So you weren't nude.
But I have seen a few topless people. Yeah.
Where's the nude beach?
where is the nude beach?
Wait, there's what you tell us. You were
Well,
there.
the one where I saw topless people, and everyone get your pens and paper out.
Yeah.
If you go to Jacob Riis Park,
That's the one I heard about.
And there's I think it was the maybe far east side of it. I think it was. There's kind of a little enclave there where you'll
I
find
wouldn't
some
know
topless
from
folks.
such things.
No. I also haven't spent a lot of days there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's.
You're like, no, it's the west side, but
Yeah. I'm also not going there this weekend.
Okay. Well, the film opens today,
At the Quad.
which is a very famous theater, and
recently renovated. It's
yes,
beautiful.
recently renovated, and they do things kind of the old-fashioned way. They book their house themselves. They select their films, and very carefully,
curated,
very
really.
carefully curate their programming.
Very
there.
much so. And this is definitely a movie that they really are thinking about the theater for and the audience. It's not just coming out on digital as well right away. It will eventually, but it really we're excited to show it in theaters to audiences.
Well, Jeremy and Matt, we thank you for coming up here with us very early in the morning. And Jesse, and you're all going to be on Sonstein Sunday.
This coming weekend, yes, at 7 a.m.
But we thank you for getting up early and joining us on our show on the day before Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
We hope you have, a very happy Thanksgiving. When this is all over, Matt, I hope you can find a job so you can support
I don't
yourself.
think he wants one.
No.
And Jesse, anything real quick that you've got coming up? Anything you want to tell us about?
But the only thing I'll mention is, so I write plays every other year. My next play is at Signature Theater starting in April. It's called Yay Sister. A reference from probably a song that's never been played on here, Wash That Man Right Out of My Hair.
Oh,
not
right.
a Q on
No,
a
but
4-3
we know
favorite.
No, but we all know that song.
Okay, yeah.
So
Everybody
you've
knows
actively
that
made
song.
the decision not to play it.
Okay.
We've burned that CD.
Okay. Thanks a lot,
you so
guys.
much.
Thank you
It's-
so much.
Thank you.